Welcome, 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 because we got a good show we're gonna have. I am really, really excited. I know I get excited, but I tell you, I always get excited because of all my special guests. I am just, but today I've got a special treat for you. Um, Many of you know Jakeem Fox, but he is not only going to be my guest, but um, I have another fantastic guest coming on. Um, well, let me say, not that Jakeem isn't fantastic, but I got a more fantastic guest that's going to be joining us. Um, and you guys know her as Ray Bae the DJ. But this is it, and you know I'm going to be kind of a little partial because she's a black woman. So, and I just kind of be a little tall, little biased. So we're gonna have her come in shortly. And I'll let her kind of introduce herself a little bit to you that don't know. But I found the reason why I found it so fascinating to be able to speak with her and have her come on the program was because she is a mother, a wife, a nurse, a DJ. I mean, she's just a full package. And so anybody like that, I, I I admire and respect. And this is a young person. So we're gonna see what it has. So Jakeem's on. Like I said, I don't have to go into him. You guys have seen him enough.
But you could if you want. You don't give her that good
No,
old.
get your head too big. Shoot, you know how you be. So we'll be bringing her in shortly to be able to do that. And so with that, I do want to what we're going to talk about today, and it's really oh, I hope this internet isn't acting up again. Oh,
It was moving around a little bit, but I still see you and I can hear you well right now.
okay. I don't know. It's been okay. Let's try to make sure. There it goes. Yeah. Now I don't know why I'm not getting. I know I'm gonna have to have a talk with them because hey, if there's anybody's picture that should be showing up, it should be mine. We're not getting that. I mean, I don't want to give everything to him. Let's see here.
I feel like I can see you and I can
You
hear
can
you.
see me, and I.
Yeah, I can see you and
Okay.
hear you.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, I'm gonna take a minute here and make a little adjustment, and then I'm gonna come right back to you. Okay.
No, no, no.
Okay, I think we got it, and I did a little shaking of the wires. Hopefully, that's all it needed. Anyway, but we want to talk about because we've are really stressing local elections that's going on. That's just been my mandate for this particular because I feel it's so important. 4 years. This is very critical. This mayoral election and city council is very, very critical for the city of Omaha. And, I'm always partial to North Omaha, so it's my baby. And I just feel like this is, if we don't get this right, we're in for we're already in for critical and hard times, but it's going to be even harder. So that's the reason why I'm stressing to try to get people out to vote, vote, vote. I say like, you got to vote like your life depended on it because it really does depend on us getting out and voting. This election in Omaha, Nebraska, and I want to clarify because I do have some subscribers who don't live in Omaha, and um, this North Omaha and South Omaha, I believe, can make the difference in this mayoral election. I truly believe. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think we sometimes stop thinking about the amount of power that we do have in certain elections,
Hmm.
and in certain circumstances. And again, voting, I think Precious said the last time that we have 32,000
Hmm.
people registered to vote in our area, and we're only seeing maybe 6,000 of those people
Right.
in total. And we think about the difference that we saw in the primary election with the mayoral race, only John Ewing only behind by about 3,000 votes.
Hmm.
So think about 3,600 of us, I mean, thousand of us voting and what that means and what kind of conversation we'd be able to have. There's a reason that they're in the legislature right now trying to make this a winner take all state
Right.
because
Hmm.
our district has been the lone voice of reason and progressiveness and morality in our state for so
Hmm.
long. We are the thing that keeps our country from falling into um, Armageddon, disarray in a real way. We've
Yeah.
seen how we come up in national elections. We see why Precious as the elector was such an important moment.
Hmm.
Um, because again, we hold a lot of power in not only our city and state elections, but how this country moves forward politically. So we can't lose that power, and we can't stop thinking about how we advance our own goals and missions by leveraging that power for our benefit. I think that's the main part of this that we don't really talk enough about in our elections is that we should be using this as leverage. They should be begging us for our votes, not us begging them to do right by us.
And I really
That's our
think
opportunity.
I agree with you, and I really think that um, the conversations and the controversy that we've had over people speaking up and having their opinion has spurred and people to say, well, there must be something to this. Let me
Yeah.
read, let me watch, let me check. As I was saying, one of our last videos, there were 1,500 people who viewed. So
Hmm.
that's saying something. Now, if we can get 1,500 more people to vote, look at what we can. And the only reason that we're even having our current mayor to come to North Omaha is because that vote was that close.
That's
4,000.
right.
She's never had that
Hmm.
happen because it's
Hmm.
been a low turnout and she'll win with low turnout. So she wants it to be a low turnout. Um,
And we have to address the fact that when we force her hand and
mhm,
she comes to our neighborhood and to our community to speak, we see the real her.
mhm.
And we see how inept she is at speaking about the issues that we care about. When
Right.
I went to that meeting on Saturday at the Empowerment Network, and it ended up being a candidate forum at the end of the event, and the way that she only read statistics.
Hmm.
She had no message. She had no thought process about the things and the conversations that we're talking about. She doesn't know how to interact with us. She
Hmm.
doesn't care about us enough to figure it out. She
Right.
doesn't even she doesn't even employ Black people that are spending any of that time trying to
Hmm.
help her with the message. They
Right.
don't even have the power to help her with the message. They
No.
can't speak to us in the way that a Black man from our experience has the ability to. And even if there are things, and with any politician, there are things that people can improve on, and there are things that people get dead wrong as a politician. But there's a level of communication that is innate when we're coming from a similar experience.
Hmm.
And that has created a fear that is making her do something new. And that's the definition of power,
Yeah.
that you can change how a person operates with leverage. So we're experiencing a new thing.
And that's
And
the reason why I
love,
say this
and I love that
election
it's
is so
causing this much
important, is
explosion. Yeah.
because, and it's creating conversations, and based on that, it's also creating, and I did post it to the Facebook, and I'll be posting it to Conversations with Cheryl Weston's YouTube channel later, is the conversation that you had with Kasim today. That was um, it was a first, it was unique, but it was appropriate and it got something out to show that, we can come together for what we do without giving up our own personal integrity or concerns. It's finding that way to be able to say we may have some differences, but we're really closer and have more likes than we really have differences. And then if we have those differences, you guys were able to identify that, and how could you reconcile that in order to come together? So I posted it and on Facebook already, and I think people, you need to go see that, check it out. I assume it'll be on Kasim's Facebook page, but it was very powerful message if people listened, and
Hmm.
especially not only with an open mind, but I think it had some closed minds who opened their mind when they heard and seen, well, man, these two coming together. And it kind of reminded me of the times with um, Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, which really signed their death warrant. Was people in power could see, uh-uh, they're coming together. And that's, I always go back to that line in Spike Lee's Malcolm X, where the guy goes to the window
Hmm.
and they see Malcolm X and no one moves until he does that. And the
Hmm.
words that come out of his mouth, I always try to remember, I remember it, and I try to remind people that's too much power for one man.
Hmm.
So I look at this as they're saying right now, they're scuffling. They're trying to figure out, them folks down there got too much.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
realizing they got power. And that's a
And they're
scary thing for those.
I'm so, like I said in the video, and I hope people go look at the live because
Hmm.
I'm in good company. I think that's the point that we're trying to make here. When I sit with you, when I sit with Kazim, when I sit with Sherman, when I sit with Ray Bae, which I'm excited that we're going to be talking to today, and we have these conversations, unity is not eternal agreement on every topic.
Right.
It's the acknowledgement that there is a foundation of agreement that we can't overlook, and that this issue, Black liberation for us, is, surpasses it all
Hmm.
else. But there's nothing more important. And when you can agree on something life changing like Black liberation, you can get past these petty things that have kept some of our predecessors separate for
Yeah.
decades and have allowed inception of white supremacist ideas from these other external actors, which have allowed out of state contractors to buy up our houses because we can't talk to each other.
Hmm.
And the neighbors don't understand that, oh no, they're coming to all of our houses, not just me.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So we're
Yeah.
we're establishing a baseline of communication,
Mhm.
and we wanted to get together because it's not superficial.
Yeah.
It's not just a prove a point right now because some people are talking about division. No,
Hmm.
we've bonded in a way that this is a lifetime kind of thing. And so we're talking every single day now. No one would have ever thought that me and Kazim have that kind of brotherhood where we're talking every single day. He calls me
Yeah.
in the morning every day, and we're talking 4 or 5 times a day about what's happening in our community because we care that much.
Yeah.
And and the invitation is that we're going to do our part proactively to get out there and say, I'm not just telling people that I'm open to something. If I've had a beef with you, I'm gonna come to you and say, let's reconcile this because this other thing is so important. So we've been doing that work. That's what the title of the live is. We're doing our part because we're seeking out those broken relationships and we're saying, hey, this is our opportunity to reconcile because there's something more important, but we can't reconcile on our own.
Hmm.
The other people have to be open to that and they have to trust in that process. So that's the work that we're trying to do now because we understand the monumental uh opportunity that we have here to make real differences in Black people's lives and everyone's lives. Because it doesn't just benefit Black people that
No.
this mayor changes. You know what I mean? That benefits everyone,
Yeah.
even if they don't understand it. When you raise the floor,
Hmm.
everybody goes up.
Yep. Yep.
And so that's what we're looking for, and that we're willing to do what it takes to establish those connections.
And I think that was at least what I gathered out of it is too, and that's the reason why I'm hoping other people will see it. And like I say, by putting it on our different platforms, our different we are able to get our each section who watches our platforms, those people get to see it. And the ideal is maybe they'll tell somebody, hey, did you see that? Did you? And that it gets, because again, it goes back, and I like what you just said was it when you raise the floor, it isn't just one, you're raising the floor for everyone. So I see she is in. So we
Okay, she
will,
got in. Okay,
yeah,
I just
we
saw
will
her
bring
message.
her
Okay.
in. Um, and think she's connecting. So, but I really do think that was a great, and I don't know whose idea. Hey, lady, how are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Very good.
I was looking forward to this, and I was telling Jakeem, I have to admit, and I did right off the bat, I'm a little biased because I have a great admiration for you. You a mother, a wife, a nurse, a DJ. What is it you don't do?
A new radio host, I think, too. Just got the radio
Don't just
position.
tell
Yeah.
me what is it you don't do. Not really, but I wanted to give the audience an opportunity for you to hear from you, a few words to introduce yourself, and then we're going to get into some of the things that we wanted to talk about and why this arose. But I do, and I don't say things, Jakeem will be able to tell you that. I don't say things to people that I don't mean, and I
Right.
don't try to butter you up, but I do. And when I can see because I go back to Malcolm X said, the most disrespected uncer is the black woman, but you are proving that, hey,
Okay.
we are there in the power and what we do. And so I just take my hat off to you, and I'll give you a few minutes and to kind of tell our audience, my audience, about who Ray Bae, the DJ, the mother, and all that is.
Okay, that was an intro. I'm loving that. Like, okay, don't put my head up today. But yeah, no, so that is true. So I am a DJ. I go by Ray Bae. My actual name is Terea, but most people know me as Ray Bae because of the
Uh-huh.
events that I do around the city. So, I DJ pretty much everything, a lot of club events and concerts.
Right.
I'm also a nurse, so I graduated from nursing school recently, a few months ago, and that's been a journey in itself. And I have three kids, three boys
Oh,
who
yes, I saw
are
their picture online as they were there. And I'm like,
yes.
them boys is saying their friends is probably saying, woo, look at your mom. Whoa.
You have no idea. You have no idea, especially with that teenager of mine. But but yeah, I have three boys, and they take up the majority of my time.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, I just love being a mom,
Yeah.
seriously. And I've been like kind of dibbling and dabbling over the last like few years in a little community work too. It just kind of
Uh-huh.
just started happening. I don't know. I have a pretty like big platform,
Uh-huh.
and it's just some things that haven't been sitting right in my spirit within like the last like 5 years that I've started speaking on, and it's kind of
Uh-huh.
been like, but I mean, I've always been a pretty positive person. Like I'm a pretty positive person overall anyway. And it's like, well, I already have the influence. Why not use that influence for something that's
Exactly.
going to make a difference in my community?
Hmm.
So that's really why I do it. It's like, when you know that you have a certain level of,
Hmm.
of respect, and then plus I mean, I got some sense too.
Those
And-
work well together. Yeah, we
oh,
need
right.
those
Okay, you
together.
need
Yeah.
me. And I have plenty of sense. So it's like, you know, out outside of yourself, I feel like that we all have a duty to have some sort of positive impact in our community, because what are we really living for? Like you have to live outside of your own self.
Hmm.
And I feel like outside of myself and outside of my family and outside of the people that I love, that I still have a duty to
Right.
be a positive impact for the city that made me who I am. Like
Hmm.
Omaha has built me into the woman that I am. So it would be a dis it would not be the right thing to do for me to not give
Hmm.
that back to a place that has, instilled so much in me. It
Hmm.
doesn't make any sense.
Yes. And I think that was um It came across when you responded to two different things we want to talk about today.
Mhm.
Um, is, and it's what I've always said and believe, and why um, I wrote what I did and said what I said is, you know, when something's given to you more, you have to be more accountable and responsible for what you do.
Mhm.
It's not that you can't do it. No one's telling you you can't say it or do it, but you need to think a little bit and think of how that is going to influence what you say. Whether you want it to be that influencer or not, you know that you are, and so I think you should be more responsible. And with that, that kind of brings into why you responded, and we want to talk about that why you responded the way you did to two was the Bud Crawford, uh and then also when the North Omaha project, Levi Carter project, was announced, how the mayor came out and you took that upon us to say, hey, we need to think about where was she at, what was her involvement, and so forth. And so if you want to comment a little bit on that, um, as to why you thought and you gave that opinion is.
So, when the situation with Bud came up, I really waited to speak on it because
Hmm.
I was just kind of like watching. So I'm
Hmm.
like watching it unfold. Like it was like okay, it started rolling in the dominoes, and the
Hmm.
internet just was in like it was a fire. It
Yeah.
was a fire set, and I felt like that what I said was necessary to like calm it down
Hmm.
because there were two different opinions. So there were opinions of people who were on his side on what he did, and there's really no sides to this. I'm just plain language. So
Hmm.
there's people who are siding with what he did, and then there's people who had a disapproval, obviously, and I just wanted for the people who did not have the knowledge
Hmm.
of the impact that the mayor actually has on the city, what she has the capability of doing and not doing, and what has not been being done.
Hmm.
Because I don't really care about who someone endorses or who someone votes for because we all have the free will to endorse and vote for who we want to. But what I do care about is when someone has like a significant impact on their community because of who they are,
Right.
endorsing someone and the people are not informed. So when someone is not informed and they see someone of a certain stature
Right.
endorsing someone, then that kind of makes someone who is not informed want to lean that way, maybe want
Hmm.
to vote that way because not everyone has the capacity to feel like, okay, well, maybe I should research this a little bit. Or maybe,
Right.
or maybe not even the will, or maybe I should do this because I feel like more people, especially the young people, and since I am someone who is a part of the younger community, they don't research on
No,
their own. No, never.
it's
They
just,
don't.
oh, the phone said,
Exactly.
you know.
And that's why I think it's so important for young
Hmm.
people like me who have the influence to speak on social media because
Right.
that's where they're getting a lot of their information. They're
Exactly.
not going to Google, they're not reading articles, they're not looking into legislations and bills and who proposed this and who did that. They're not doing that.
Hmm.
So if you're not doing that and you know that that's the only way that you're going to be able to reach someone, okay, well, I'm going to come to the level on where I can get this information out.
Hmm.
So I feel like that it's just important for younger people, especially because people in my age bracket, we're the ones that's not voting. We're the ones who are ill and we're the ones not informed. And we're the ones spreading the false information. Honestly, like we're the ones spreading the false
Yeah.
information. So it's like I am just the person if I see something that's I don't feel that it's not right in my spirit, well, I have to speak on it. It didn't sit right with me.
Mhm.
Yes. And I think,
And I don't want all of the young community to feel like they have to take all of that accountability on your own. Like, of course, you
Mhm.
know, in District 2 in North Omaha, 80% of the electorate is senior citizen age. So
Right.
they're older. Those are the ones that are consistent in voting.
Right.
But young people aren't the only ones sharing misinformation. We've seen that, you know, in some of the interviews that we just saw, you know,
Right.
and the lack of accountability to information,
Yeah.
or that kind of like that you know, for lack of a better word, you know, I might get in trouble for this, that thirst to
Mhm.
be
Right.
around someone of influence, and how that can manipulate you into not being a truth teller in the way
Right.
that's necessary for our community. And so
Right.
that's why, you know, Cheryl didn't have to say she was biased, because I'm biased too. I love a black woman. I love the way that you're utilizing your platform, and I understand the risk. We talked about that a little bit in our past conversation, the risk that you're taking,
Mhm.
being in a similar field with someone with such influence. You know what I mean? Who knows what the outcome of that could be, but you're deciding that your integrity and the morality and the moment that we're in is too important to cave to that kind of pressure. And I wonder, you know, did you feel any sense of pressure during this time, or do you feel it now? Like, how
Mhm.
as this conversation has evolved?
Honestly, yes. So when I typed that out, I was literally so nervous to post it because the thing is like I'm cool with Bud. And
Mhm.
it's like I didn't I don't want Bud or Steven or some of the like major people who were in the conversation to think that I'm taking a jab, because it's not that. I'm not taking a jab. I still, we're still cool even after that. But I have a difference of opinion and I want to post it. And I felt like when I posted that, it was just like a little, and not specifically from them, but the subliminals that you get after you speak up, it's wild. It's so
Mhm.
wild. Even when you have like a major influence, you're still going to get the disagreement, and you're still going to get a little bit of backlash from the people who don't agree with you, or the people who feel like they need to side with them because that's their friend, or or the people that are going to side with me because they're my friends alone. People do that. And it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of
It
pressure to
is.
speak up,
Right.
and it's a lot of pressure after you do.
Mhm.
So you kind of feel like uneasy a little bit, maybe like, oh, I hope this doesn't make me and this person fall out. So it
Well,
is.
and I want to just interject one quick thing is what you said and what Jaqueen said, wrote now, and what I said. No one said it was wrong,
Exactly, it's not
because you
wrong.
have the right to have that opinion. No one was saying that, but I took it as when you yourself know and you get that feeling, you know what, I kind of was wrong, or it maybe I didn't handle that correctly.
Hmm.
Their response is what tells what, they're really feeling. They may come off in that manner, which it was shown, but the point is, you as a person who has anyone that you're influencing, just like your boys,
Hmm.
you have to be able to say, okay, my boys are going to hear this or see this, and then how am I going to feel good about them when I'm telling them this is what you need to do in life, and you spoke up. So you took not only a chance, in the business one, but also in a personal but because you felt it was wrong and you had to make your point the right. Um, I think I always say it's kind of like, I don't feel like it was my problem on how it's your problem. When you get angry and you respond the way individuals did in this circumstances to all of us,
Hmm.
um, I don't have a problem with that because it's not my problem. It's your problem because I touched your toe where you knew you were wrong, or it could have been handled differently. So I commend you for being able to do that because you have a lot more at stake,
Right.
And
in it.
so, and I wanted to ask too, because you do have a lot at stake, but
Hmm.
when you saw that response, you got to typing too. Like, so I saw you started getting on the road with some of those posts.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to hear like, what kind were you frustrated, upset? Like, what caused that firestorming you from that response? Because I know it was upsetting to me to see,
Hmm.
people genuinely asking, I just wish he would tell us why he made this decision, like a genuine, like regular question, in our minds, like you're not a political being. You haven't voted. You said yourself, Bud. And now you're making a political endorsement. So this feels
Right.
like a step outside of what we know from you. And we
Mhm.
kind of want that explanation. And to see the kind of vitriol from both him and Steven, was pretty shocking. And I think I agree that there's a little bit of when we don't feel a necessity that we have to defend ourselves because we're in a position of influence. And so
Hmm.
how dare someone challenge our thoughts? But also because like there's a little bit of guilt. And I think we'll talk about
Guilt.
that.
Hmm.
From the interview, I felt like I gleaned a little bit more from the interview that he did have a William King. But I wonder, yeah, like you started writing and I think it was maybe 4 or 5 posts that came out after that with
Yeah.
great information, but a lot of passion too. So I wondered, yeah, if you could kind of explain your reaction to that at the time.
So I'm not going to lie, and this very well may not be true. But so since the post that I made circulated the way that it did, I kind of felt like, who are we talking about? Like, like who are we talking about? And so I'm like, okay, well, well, I do plenty. I'm a Black nurse. I serve my community every day. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I am going to lay out these accolades because I
Yeah.
mean this ain't just coming out of thin air. You know what I'm saying? Like the stuff
Hmm.
that I do is not just coming in and it's nothing new anyway. This is not nothing new for me to speak up against something. I've done that before. I've done that with the James Scurlock thing. I've done that with other like well-known cases against the police. This is nothing new for me to speak and be passionate about something that is not sitting right in my spirit. And I felt like that. And originally the post wasn't even directed towards him necessarily. It was directed towards the responses that other people were making. I'm like, okay, you guys, this is the reason why people are upset. People, because they're like, well, why are you guys upset about this decision? Why are you guys upset about this decision?
And I think
I'm
that
not even,
I have to interrupt because it wasn't the decision.
ex-
As Jakeem talked on our first interview, it was about the commentary that her people
Mhm,
wrote that
mhm,
said how she cared about. That's where it got lost in those individuals who felt guilty. I'm just going to bring it.
mhm.
You felt guilty about the response. That's where I think it got lost. It wasn't even about that endorsement because um I think it was just that wording because everybody was saying, "Oh, he didn't write that." If he would have calmed down, he would have realized, wait a minute, people were really on your side more. It was
Mhm,
about the wording that they put in, and people
mhm,
were upset that you allowed it to be. So go ahead. I just wanted to, kind of point that out that
mhm.
it wasn't, I think it was more about people were really upset that, you allowed them to speak for you because people didn't think that was what it was.
Yeah, and I think like just in general, the
Hmm.
community just felt like, well, we feel like she's using you. No
Yes.
one was really necessarily upset with, but and I was never upset with them either.
No,
I was
that
just
excellent
upset
point.
with, I was upset with, okay, if you guys are going to say why you are
Hmm.
upset, don't make it come from emotions. Here's the facts. Boom, boom, boom.
Right,
I'm going to lay out the facts so people can understand why people upset. You
right.
guys, maybe you know why you're upset and you're just so mad and you can't properly
Yeah,
verbalize it. Well,
yeah.
okay, I can. So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell
Yep.
you why this is upsetting me. And so we can all get some understanding and, in conjunction, the community of Omaha is upset about this, this, and this, and this, and this, especially the north side. You know what I'm saying? So, um, and when it came to like the second response, I would have just liked him to maybe say, okay, well, oh, okay, I'm getting a lot of backlash about this. This is the reason why I support her. This is the reason why I support her. This is what is the reason why I support her. That would have calmed a lot of that fire down. And we can agree to disagree.
Oh, sure.
everybody can agree to disagree because you can endorse and you can vote for who you want to. No one's mad about
No
that.
one's gonna,
But
and no one knows who you vote for when you go behind the curtain.
it was just the response like, okay,
Why
why
are you
why,
attacking me?
why not even that. It's like the community that has supported you from the jump.
Exactly.
So that's just kind of, and he said, okay, he didn't really mean it that way. So maybe he didn't know how to use his words, but it still wasn't the right thing to do. Like
It
that
was
just was not the right.
emotion.
Yeah,
It
it
was
was emotional.
emotion
It was
that,
emotional,
and I
and
still go
Pain,
back to
yeah.
it. You know,
and
when
he's
you
human.
are in his space and people are looking up for you, and I think when you go back to our first conversation, 'cause I said it's not the point that you're not king in that rank, but you didn't get there by yourself, and it's the people who supported you that you might be letting down. But why I want to get in, what did you think of the interview? Both of you, whoever wants to be first, what did you think of that interview
You
with
go ahead, Jakeem.
William King?
You go ahead, Jakeem.
I was actually intrigued in a couple of different ways because I think it definitely proved it confirmed a lot for me. The duality of the position. I think he said a lot of contradictory things, but I was fascinated by seeing where he was passionate and where he got angry. Because when he spoke about B&B so passionately, so
Hmm.
beautifully, so articulately about the mission and what they hope to accomplish there, and what it meant to him, like spiritually and emotionally, to be able to do that for kids and to
Hmm.
create those opportunities for families and the diversity of the people that are attending that and the growth, the pride that he had in that.
Hmm.
And I think what you see who someone really is in those kind of moments where when it's something that he actually cares about, there's a long conversation to be had. You know what I mean? When he
Hmm.
talked about his next upcoming fight, the passion, the
Right.
articulateness, the research, the study, you know what I mean? The devotion to that aspect of his career is plain, and we can see why he is the king in the ring.
Hmm.
Because when he cares about something truly, he spends time on it.
Hmm.
They spent 5 minutes maybe talking about the endorsement and the election, and most of the commentary was curse words and platitudes. Scratch my back, I scratch yours. Remember one hand and remember who didn't help you on the other hand. Just a whole bunch of like weird phrases without real context and any passion behind it, because he didn't care about that in the same way that he demonstrates his concern and care for the community in all of these other aspects. So I felt it really proved a point to me that when you care about something, you have a different type of depth and interest in how you explain that and how you advocate for that and how you show and demonstrate your care and concern for our community. And so it was just plain as day to me. But again, there was a lot of contradiction in the way that he talked about values as well. For example, when he talked about helping the community and the way that he does with boxing or just helping families, he said, I don't need anything from people. I don't need any money. I could make you $1 million and you get to have all of that $1 million because I don't need anything. I care. And so I don't expect anything in return. And then when we talk about the mayor and the land and the parade and all of those things, well, then it's quid pro quo. Then it's you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Well, that's not your value.
Hmm.
I think your net worth right now is 20 million. You don't need the land to be gifted to you. You don't need a gift from the mayor. You don't need a handout.
Which the land
And
has not transferred.
And so, and William King did bring that up. And there was this like mysterious strategy, I guess, why now? Why do I need it right now? Even though they said they're busting at the seams, and need the more space because there's so many kids and families that they're helping. So there were so many blatant contradictions that I knew he wasn't proud of this choice. And that's my biggest takeaway. There's so much more we can talk about inside of that interview, but I think it was really revealing that when he's passionate, when he cares,
Mhm.
He has no problem talking about it and discussing it and answering questions because there's a sense of pride and dignity that comes from that because he's proud of what he has accomplished. And he should be. He's a world champion. There's so much pride, and your city has so much pride in you. And when you talked about this, you couldn't last 5 minutes
Mhm.
because you're not proud of what you did
That's what I
and you
said.
don't understand what you did either because you are not politically aware in that framework. And so that was my biggest takeaway. So it
Mhm.
was intriguing. The journalism of it all was lacking, obviously. And I hope that that can get better, through more opportunities. But that was my major takeaway. Yeah, what did you think, Ray?
You definitely hit the nail on the head. I'm just going to say that I think, just personally, I think all around, Terrence is a pretty stand-up guy. Like he's
Mhm.
defied a lot of odds. He is the best fighter in the world. And, from what I see, a great father. And he is making a difference in his community through B&B. And from what he said about those things, and then the things that were said about his endorsement for the mayor, it was definitely two different fires behind those.
Mhm.
And I would have liked, like I said before, for him to kind of like explain, like, well, why? But the only thing I got from it is like a quid pro quo. Like,
Mhm.
she's done this for me, so I feel like I'm gonna do this for her. And I understand it. I completely get it. Do I think that it's that's the most responsible decision? No. But I understand what you're saying, but that does not mean that I think it's the most right choice. I don't think it's the most right thing. There's a lot of people who've done stuff for me, but that doesn't mean I'm endorsing them as the mayor. I mean, if you're not, if you don't have the leadership skills and the
Mhm.
necessary plan to be able to run a city, and I mean run it efficiently,
Mhm.
run it safely, run it so that people of all races, genders,
Mhm.
ethnicities can live there harmoniously and not just certain people. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So I'm not going to endorse someone, even though they have done something for me, when I see what they have not done for my community. I just can't do it. I don't know. I just can't. I understand it, but it's
And I agree with both of you. And like I said, I felt like um deep down he knew it was wrong, but he wasn't able to admit to saying, you know what, I probably made a bad decision.
right.
And I think it would have brought everybody back together and his respect would have been high. People's respect for him would have been um higher and said, you know what, now that's the Bud we know. Because as you both have said, he was very passionate about what they do, and I didn't take anything away. And like, for me, when his response, I'm like, you missed the whole thing. I started out saying, just because you can do doesn't mean you have to do. It's always that there is a way and there's not a way. So the whole thing, I think, goes back to there were two different people there. And it's sad, but on the other hand, I look at it in a more positive light, I guess, is this needed to happen because what this has done is gotten people to talk.
Exactly.
You don't have to agree with Jakeem, or don't have to agree with Ray, and don't have to agree with me, or you do agree. The whole thing is, at least now we're talking. We're talking, and hopefully, we can have somewhere to go with that. Is that at least we're talking, we are listening, and again, maybe we're not agreeing or whatever, but the point is I haven't seen an issue like this. And to me, it was kind of a small, but it really was a big because it had opened up and it has really gotten people to take a look at this election.
Yes.
Hopefully, I'm hoping that it will carry over to May 13th and they'll vote. But I have never seen so many people who have been saying, you know what? I need to look at this a little bit more to
Mhm.
make a decision on who, not based upon a name or they did this or they're there, but to look at, the whole picture. And and an endorsement, there's been a lot of people who got endorsed but didn't win. So, that endorsement isn't everything, but it was. So I was trying to look at it in a more positive, is that um, it has done and lit a fire underneath this community. I really think. Now, that's just my personal opinion on it.
Yeah,
That they
what'd you
did.
think, Ray? I thought you were gonna say something, right?
Oh no, I was trying to fix my phone.
Oh,
I
your
Oh,
screen.
had
well,
messed the
yeah,
screen
yeah.
up.
I wanted to go on to
Do you mind if I
another.
make a comment real quick on that one?
Sure.
Because I think there is something to be said about the way that his influence has grown the conversation. And so
Mhm.
I do respect that aspect of it. And I also want to say that people were highly engaged, and not as much as we need them to be, but that conversation was happening.
Hmm.
We had 9 candidates for city council. The conversation was exploding, which is the reason the mayor asked for that endorsement in the first place. So
Hmm.
we can't underestimate the political awakening that was already happening. Yes, his impact has grown that again because it's great conversation and it is entertaining to see the back and forth and people are going to engage on that kind of superficial level. But there were people working, really hard, knocking doors every single day that have grown this conversation in a way that it hadn't been before. And
Hmm.
so I don't want to discredit their engagement that necessitated him to even speak in a way that he
Sure.
hadn't before. So yes, Bud is a compliment to the work that was already happening on the ground, and I don't want to
Mhm.
give him too much credit in the fact that people were already experiencing an awakening and he has supplemented some of that. But I think it would be, I think they brought that up in their interview, that conversation about like, well, people wouldn't even be talking about this. No, your people wouldn't have been talking about this. Uh, my people talk about this every single day. We're on the phone trying to figure out what's going on because we need to
Oh,
figure out what the city council race going to be like.
Right.
that's
So
correct.
maybe like you're kicking it with, don't talk about it like that. But don't, just because you're inactive, don't project that
Right.
symptom of white supremacy and disorganization onto the rest of the community because people talk about this every single day and
Yeah.
that's why we had 9 candidates. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Mhm. And I appreciate I appreciate the fire that this has lit in
Yes.
so many people who would have not been talking about this.
Hmm.
Like there were so many people that I was surprised to see have an input.
Yep.
And it that made me happy by itself. Like you to even have an input on
Mhm.
this is a good thing. To even
Yes.
have an opinion about who you want to be the mayor, especially for people who have not even voted before or thought about voting before.
Hmm.
Major, major. And if it took this for that to happen, then it just took it. You know what I'm
It was
saying?
well worth it.
A
Yeah.
win is a win, okay?
And that kind of leads right into where I wanted to talk about the city council for District 2, um, and get both of your opinions on that. Is this is help people look at that position a little differently.
Yep.
It's making that. What do you think? And I'll ask each of you there, what do you think it's going to take in order to give your support to the two candidates? Or do you, you know, I'm finding it hard to say I can support the candidates. Okay. I will go back as a candidate that was running for it, was twice it was asked in two different situations, would you support whoever wins if you don't win? And I didn't raise my hand because I'll say, if I was ready to support, why would I have had to run? I looked, now that was from my perspective, I looked at like, so I never raised my hand to say, well, I'm going to support that person. And I'm at the position now, can I, putting that aside, What will it take for me to say I support that person? What would you, both of you, give your opinion? What is it going to take, and what do you want to see, or hear, or whatever, for you to give that support? Or do you think it's like, uh, I'm doing a vote, but I can't support. So whichever one wants to go first.
Go ahead,
Well,
Ray.
He always pushes you out there, don't he? He
I
always
I
pushes
say
have
you out
ladies
there.
first, black women, I let y'all lead. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead. Yeah.
right, and I had to take a deep breath because, honey, so I don't even live in District 2, but I am from that community. So
Yes,
I don't live there anymore. That spot holds a special place in my heart because, I mean, come on. We know why it is important to have the
yes,
right person in District 2
correct.
because District 2, we need a lot right now. We need a lot. We need a better sense of community within ourselves.
Hmm.
We need a lot of investment on infrastructure, rebuilding. We just need there's a need, and we need the right person. It's so important and pivotal right now that we get the right person in District 2. And I don't feel like either one of them are the right person right now. I'm not going to lie. I if there's a decision that is going to be made between either of the two, I can't endorse either one. So then I just have to be real.
And I accept that, because
Mhm.
that's kind of like where I'm at right now, is the
Yeah.
position, and I agree with you. And what makes me angry is it has been strategically done to keep us in the conditions that we are. And what people don't know, the reason why, unless you get a change in that mayoral and that city council,
Hmm.
there is going to be no change for North Omaha, because
Hmm.
they need North Omaha to be in the condition it is in
Hmm.
order to get the money that comes in that is supposed to be to improve North Omaha. Look at the ARPA funds. Look how that was distributed. It already tells you. And what
Hmm.
I have said, because someone told me this, and when they first said it, I was like, what are you talking about? But he said, Cheryl, you can never have a progressive ghetto. Stop and think about it. You can't have a progressive ghetto. You either going to be progressive or you're going to be ghetto, but you can't have a progressive ghetto. So they are keeping North Omaha, because since the riot, you think North Omaha could not have changed? But all the money that has come that supposedly came for North Omaha. So, you know, we're made here. And again, that's why it's so important. And
Hmm.
as I was talking with someone earlier and yesterday, people don't understand North Omaha. You need to have the right person in District 2 City Council, and you need to have the right person in the mayor. Because without that, whoever's the mayor, if it's the same, you don't have anything coming. And if it isn't, can you have enough from that to be able to support him, being able to do that job for the benefit of the country? What's your opinion, Jeffrey?
Yeah, I think for me, it would take a show of humanity and humility for me to support one of those candidates. They would have to apologize to the community for the way that they've created and crafted divestment and disinterest in this race, with their actions and with their egos.
Hmm.
People don't want to participate in something that seems so ugly and toxic. And
Hmm.
I think both of those candidates have, in their own, well, very similar ways, the bullying, the name calling, the backstabbing,
Hmm.
I know a lot of this because of my time helping on the campaign for Maurice Jones, and to
Hmm.
see their actions behind closed doors and what they were willing to do, to defame and demean, and to again create disinterest, because they know this new voting bloc, if engaged, would not mess with them
Mhm.
at all. And so they had to find a way to edge those younger people out so that they could rely on the voters that they have close ties to put them into power. It would take for Lavanya to resign from the North 24th Street BID, which is a complete conflict of interest if she wants to be a city council person. You don't get to send yourself money.
Hmm.
That's just completely
Well, she already gave her answer to that. She said
yeah,
she
and
would
so
not
she would have to
resign from the
yeah,
nonprofit
and she would have to
side.
give a new
She would
answer.
resign from the other.
She would have to give a new answer if she wanted my support.
I was like,
Um, yeah, it's shocking and terrible in a lot of different ways, but it's a indication of character.
yeah.
Hmm.
So she would need to apologize to the community for the way that she's created elitism by using that board. A lot of those
Hmm.
uh meetings that are supposed to be public, um, she either approves or doesn't approve of
That's right.
people joining those meetings. I've seen her kick someone out of a public meeting.
Yep.
I've seen her do that a lot of times. I've seen her not when there's Zoom meetings. I've seen her not let people in.
Yep.
Um,
Been
so we're
there.
not going to pretend. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So we're not going to pretend that it's something that it's not. She would need to apologize to that. She would need to make a big show of reconciliation and make us some guarantees about her conduct and the policies that she wants to implement. And there needs to be a complete separation from this idea that more police equals safer communities. That's not going to fly for me. So there are some very specific things from her platform that I would need to be changed to give my support. Uh, Mr. Ben Gray again would need to
Mhm.
apologize to this community for the 12 years of lack of
Hello.
service that he contributed, and there needs to be an apology for the misinformation spread and the way that he's able to manipulate his talking points to make Walmart this some kind of like bastion of hope for North Omaha when they brought that in 2015, they were paying $7 an hour. That wasn't a bastion of hope.
Well, and I
People had
just
to
need
get
to
paid less
interrupt.
to be able to.
He's
Yeah, go ahead.
taking credit for that, but that was actually a Frank Brown when Frank Brown started the discussion. Let me say that.
Yeah.
When
And I'm
Walmart's
not mad.
came here.
And I'm
Yeah.
not mad that someone, came behind and finished
But
the alley oop. Like that's kind of
Walmart's is not our friend. It never
yeah, and it's
has been
not. And
in
and
any
and we
community.
yeah, he showcased when he did that little this is what I helped build. When he did that
Mhm.
video, he didn't go inside. He didn't show the locked cabinets of our goods. He didn't show the security. You know what I mean? The tone of that place that you've put there, which causes so many people to feel a lack of dignity in their own communities.
Mhm.
That's I need we need an apology for that.
Hmm.
We need an apology for the rental registry that has no teeth, which allows for landlords to create slums in our community. We need an apology for that. You know what I mean? We need a lot of apologies. So I need a show of humility. I need a guarantee of changed behavior. We need to talk about real outcomes and what equals success in our community, and that's one of the reasons we drafted that endorsement agreement and what it looks like to have real specific goals for some of these metrics. Because we need to understand what we're demanding, not what we're asking for, what we're demanding for our community. And if you don't agree, why would you ever think you could get a vote? If you don't agree with what we want, you don't get our vote. Period. We have the power. It's us. And so I'm not asking anything of them. I'm telling them this is what you have to do to secure our vote. We have the power, we have the leverage, and we have to start using that. I think it would be powerful. Oh, no one voted in this district too. You know what I mean? They have to redo something. They have to figure this out because no one voted because neither of these candidates were motivational or inspirational or reliable. You know what I mean? We can make a different kind of statement. But those would be just the starting points of what I would need. Obviously, 12 years of lack of service from Ben Gray. He needs 12 years of apology. So I don't even have the time to go through all of that. But there are some
Well,
very
let's
specific
let
things
Ray.
that we
What
can
would
nail
you like
down.
to add to that?
I I was gonna say, I as a Black woman,
Uh-huh.
I really hate how Miss Goodwin has painted herself.
Yes.
We already have a stigma already put on us.
Mm-hmm.
And for you to just be that is disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
It's so disappointing because that does not represent me. That does not represent you. That does not represent Black women in general. And for you to be the spokesperson for the Black woman in the North Omaha community, maybe, and for you to be putting yourself and painting yourself as that type of woman, it's disheartening. Like, sh- I mean, from the things that I've seen and from the things that I've heard, she gives me very much bully vibes.
Mm-hmm.
To be a woman in your position, name calling, to not include people,
Mm-hmm.
and to be so vocal and mean about it, I could never vote for somebody like that. I'm sorry, I could never vote for a woman who sits there and puts other people down the way that she does. Calls people the names that she does. Looks down on people who may not have the best past.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not what you do when you're representing North Omaha, because those are the people that you're describing. How
Yes.
are you going to represent a district of people, and the things that you are saying about some of these candidates and some of these other people, it applies to the people that you're representing. You
Supposed to.
don't have their best interest at heart. And as far as Ben Gray is concerned, it's I mean, you're literally, in my opinion, just a token Black man who's a face who's making no decisions, because you're getting ping ponged all around, and you're letting these people tell you what you need to do for your own community, because
Yeah.
you're not making decisions for the people. You can't be making decisions for the people. These people are telling you the decisions that you need to make, and the decisions that you're making are not benefiting the people that you're representing. So I'm
You
at
hit it right on
a
the nose again, and that's what I said, and why I've been trying to, and I'm gonna release my so-called, well, first of all, it's a thank you, but also a so-called my opinions on this is I agree with you, Rick. It's very disheartening to have another Black woman to be that. I mean, she surpasses the angry Black woman, okay?
Mhm.
She makes, and people have that tendency. They always judge our people by the actions of one,
Mhm.
because we're not like that. The
Mhm.
majority of Black women are not. You are a perfect example. We're not like that. You would
Mhm.
not be in the position you are in if you were like that.
Right.
I want people to understand you are not voting for the name. You're voting a Goodwin name. And to me, she's damaging the legacy behind that name, because the good ones that I know, the John, the Nathan, the Dan, they are not like that. They help this community. And the one thing I have never seen a person come out, and I said that myself, I can speak for, I never was for community. When I go down 24th Street and I see the money that was supposed to go in there from block grant money, what do I see? The buildings that are being redone. Yours, everything that you own, your family owns, that's what. And when you put up a 6-foot iron rod fence, what does that say to the community? Stay out. It doesn't say include. And then the one big thing that, and someone had told me when I ran, do not run as a nonpartisan, run as a Democrat, because 80% of District 2 is Democrat. And I want people to know, and I know she's watching, she will watch this when we tape. She boldly put on her page, nonpartisan, I'm soon to become a Democrat. If you will flip before, folks, it's not hard to figure out, you will flip afterwards.
Mhm.
You will flip. So if somebody's already showing you that, and that's the reason I think I put it in my one of my posts, Maya Angelou says, Believe people when they show you and tell you, believe them because that's who they are. And I agree with both of you. And I said I, because I can only speak for myself, is it's hard. You want me to try to support, even if you agree to whatever it comes up to be. I have no trust to believe that you would do it anyway. You
Mm-hmm.
showed me that. You showed me, Ben, by 12 years. Lavanya, you showed me when you flipped before. So I just don't know. And it's going to be hard. Um, it's going to be curious to see what people in District 2. I like your idea. Hey, we all say we ain't voting. Either one of y'all
Mm-hmm.
out. We're
And
not going
that's
to vote.
why, and that's why people cannot paint that narrative like,
Yeah.
oh, you guys are just supporting John because he's black. Well, if that's the case, why are we not supporting Ben Gray and Lavanya? I mean,
Yeah.
that's not true. I'm
No.
not supporting somebody just because they're black. I'm supporting
Hmm.
John because of the business that he's standing on, the plan that he's agreeing to. That's why I'm supporting John, his values, his plan for
Right.
Omaha in general, and you can't you cannot say that there's a group of people supporting a candidate when because they're black if they're not supporting all black candidates. That obviously makes that statement not true.
Hmm. And I said on that, and one of my deals, I think I talk so doggone much, I don't know which one I said, but my point was John happens to be the best candidate for this for mayor.
Mm-hmm.
He's experienced. He's
Mm-hmm.
been there. His record speaks, and he just happens to be a black man.
Hello.
And I don't think that he just happens to be a black man. I think his record speaks because he's a
With
black
that,
man
but
that's
I mean his
aware. You know
race.
what I
Yeah,
mean? That's
yeah,
aware of the history and what he's bringing into these
yeah.
positions. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like there's a context that blackness brings that allows you to do a more moral thing if you
Hmm.
care about black people.
Come on, Jackie. Come on.
That's what we
Okay.
have to understand. And I have no problem with people that want to vote for him because they want to make history because it's been however long Omaha has been a city. I think we just had our centennial or something like that.
Yeah,
Um,
56.
and we haven't had one. It's our turn.
It
Hmm.
is.
It's our
And I
turn. And it can't be no worse. It
no,
really can't because these people have been evil and malicious to our communities very straightforwardly. And it can't get no worse.
I think that black people, him being black, I think that black people bring a certain spark because
Hmm.
of the things that we have been through and because of the obstacles that we have to overcome to get into certain positions, to be in certain rooms, to
Hmm.
make certain decisions, makes it special to where I know how he's coming.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? He knows what's necessary because he's been there. He's been through all walks of life. He's been a very,
Hmm.
very poor kid from the north side. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Yes.
not like John's just some privileged token
No.
black guy. You know what I'm saying? Like we have a certain spark about us because of what we've had to overcome in life to be able to make these decisions and to be in
Hmm.
these places. So that's why I think it's very special. Black, it's not because he's black, it's because it is because he's black, actually. It's
Well,
because he's black. I already
but
know it.
you're
I
right.
know it. I know what's coming with it.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
I think when I say he happens to be black, I would like, I mean, people don't look
Of
at it
course.
because he is black. Look at
Mhm.
it, he just happens to be a black man that has one, two, three, four, five, six, and ever. But I
Mhm.
think you both summed it up is what he brings to it
Mhm.
because he's been through it.
That's it. Oh, okay. I like that.
Mhm.
Ray, before we get off, you were one of the advocates that got to meet with Johnny Ewing for a little bit of that time.
Mhm.
Is there any like major takeaway you had from that conversation that you want to share with us?
Yeah, so when I met with John, I had two very specific questions. So, my first one was what he planned
Mhm.
to do with basically with the police and with the community. How he
Mhm.
plans to kind of heal that relationship. Because I'm not anti-police, but I am very much against over policing and against
Mhm.
police who are not properly trained and de-escalation and mediation.
Right.
Okay. So I told him that, in order for him to have my endorsement, that I needed a plan from him on how he is going to make sure that the community and the police can come to a middle ground where we can all get along and make decisions together so
Hmm.
that we can live harmoniously together. We can trust the police. No one wants to not trust the police. I don't believe that it's possible to live in a community without police. It's
Sure.
impossible. It's
Right.
impossible. But it's also impossible to live happy in a community with police who are not doing their job correctly. So that is very, very important for me, for the safety of the community, for the safety of Black men, especially,
Hmm.
that I need him to stand on business about the police, and I let him know that that is one of our major concerns, just as a collective,
Hmm.
from the people that have been talking to him behind the scenes. And then another point was about infrastructure, especially on 24th Street, 30th Street. I needed him to make sure that he is committed to investing in the
Hmm.
community that need in the communities that need it the most. I'm tired of seeing the mismanagement of money into communities who are not in need of that.
Hmm.
So North Omaha and South Omaha are in dire need of investments and infrastructure. And we have staples in 20 on 24th Street who have been looking the same for 20 years.
And
Why?
they've been looking the same for the past 5 years that the 24th Street BID has existed.
Mhm. Why are these businesses who have employed
Hmm.
Black person after Black person, who have been staples in the community, who have done their due diligence to bring revenue into the city of Omaha, why are they not getting
Exactly.
the funds that they deserve to continue to be able to build, to employ more Black people? You know what I'm saying? To make the North Side look the way that it's supposed to look. You know what I'm saying? Like, uh, it's important for people and for kids to go outside and to like the way that the community that they live in looks. That's very important.
It
It
is.
gives a glimpse of hope. It changes the perspective on what you want to do, who you want to be, what you want to achieve when you can go outside
Hmm.
and you like where you live. So,
And I just want to throw one more thing in, and I'm going to give you, let you close out first, Kim. But um, I agree with you on that. And I'm not just agreeing because she's a black woman. No. When you make sense, you make sense. When you
right.
tell the truth, you tell the truth. And I can go along with that. And what you said is important. One of the things I wanted to bring out is at that meeting, because you had to leave, one of the points that came out, or two things for me was he committed, he said he would, is have more community engagement. If that meant every month, every bi-monthly, or what it was going to take, he was willing to do that. And if it meant maybe bringing a community advisory group to keep him up to date and keep him in so that he can understand what the needs are for North and South Omaha could be a combined. I was impressed with that, that he gave his word to do that. He also said that he was willing to talk to anyone. As Kasim had said to you, I'm willing to, however we make it, you're willing. He also said he would come off of the boards, except for one. And I won't say which one because that's up to him. But he did say he would definitely come off the empowerment board. And I was saying that, hey, people are talking. We need to have, when this money's coming in, it needs to stop going to the gatekeepers because that's what's keeping us down. All the money comes in, there's enough organizations and groups circulate to make it in businesses. So I just wanted to put that out there that he did come out to say that, and that was where it secured my support that I'm willing to do it. And whether when we do it collectively or in, I think that this is our chance for North Omaha to be able to come up above and get back, as you said, to a community that we're proud to say you're from. I get like people say, you live down there? And I'm like, no, I don't live down there. I live in North Omaha. And I always jump on people, stop saying we live in a hood. We don't live, we live in a neighborhood. Why do you keep allowing people to stigmatize and say what you live in? But with that, uh, Jakeem, I'm gonna let you close it out, even though it's my show.
It is your show, and we
But one
appreciate
quick
this
thing though, I want to thank
platform.
you so much
Yeah, of course.
for
Yeah.
uh Ray. It was my first time being able to have you on, and I hope it won't be your last, that you'll come back and have some conversations with us. I
Right.
enjoyed talking to you, and you again, I praise you. I think that you are an outstanding young lady, and it's going to be, you think it's rough now. I can speak from experience. It's going to get rougher, but I know that you're going to be able to handle it, sister. I know that.
Uh, Thank you. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you
Yeah,
for inviting me here, and
Oh,
I appreciate you. I appreciate Jakeen too.
yes. So, Jakeem,
yeah,
close
this has
us
been a
out.
great. Yeah, it's just been such a great conversation and an energizing one. And I think the promise of these diverse opinions and these diverse people being able to come here and lay bare, what matters to them. And like you said, it does feel like it gets harder sometimes when
Oh,
you're
yes.
entering that political sphere. But the reality of it is, the more we enter this political sphere, the easier the rest of our life becomes.
Hmm.
That's
if
true.
you're in this political space and you're doing this job well and you're unifying people and you're bringing more of us into the framework and we're able to engage and incept our ideas and policies into this work, then you make more money. If we're able to do this well, then you're living longer. Then you can pay for the tax on your cars. Then you're not going to prison because we have a idea around what police really should look like in our community, and we're impacting the legislature to where they're making laws that provide us with resources and opportunities that don't make us go down a life of crime. When you're engaged in political spaces and you do this work well in community and you're organizing, things get better, and we have that opportunity this time to make something get better for ourselves. And it can't happen on the individual level, because if it could, it would have already. So the thing that you're doing while your life is still hard right now is not working. So we have to try to do a new thing. And if we all do a new thing at the same time, we get a new result and a new opportunity. And that's our chance here today. And on a May 13th is to really decide to do something new. We can make history. Wouldn't you want to be part of the generation that makes history, that says this is the first time we put a black man in office, and a black man that actually cares about the stuff that we care about and has promised us that he will do a new thing in the way that we need him to do it, and that it not only helps us, but because black people are so generous and gracious and we're so moral, that all of the things that help us actually help other people and usually help them first. We
Okay.
can do something new and different, and we can raise the bar for how everyone across the city is living. And if Omaha can do it, being that little blue dot in a sea of red,
Yeah.
then we create an opportunity for hope for other communities that are maybe even a smaller blue dot, that see that, dang, Omaha changed their circumstances for the better. Maybe it's our time, and maybe we turn into a different color as a state. And maybe this region turns into a different color, and this country does. And then we do something new for all of us across this country that allows Black people to feel a sense of pride and dignity and respect that we deserve because we built this thing. So
Hmm.
Right.
that's my
Go on,
message to you.
Pastor. Go on, preach,
I'm
preach.
really going out.
You know,
But
he found his new calling with his church. Go on. You got your purpose. With
we're on
that,
purpose, and we're
you wanna
and we only see
you
our
wanna
purpose
think.
when
Would you
we're
like to
in
have
good community together. Sorry, I had to say it. Like, we only find our purpose. Kazem gave me a compliment today, and he said he's seen my growth, and I said, well, I only grow in good company.
yeah.
You only grow when you're planted in good soil, and this is good soil. Us three here together telling the truth about a thing is good soil. So we need to find that more, and I'm just so happy and ecstatic that we had this opportunity.
Well, thank you so much. And this is not going to be the last, folks. In fact, next week I would like to try, and I'll put it out. I'm going to open up and we're going to have a live session. You will have to register to participate, but we're going to have a live session with conversations with Cheryl Weston where you will be able to register and participate. So get ready. I'll be putting that out and hopefully I will be getting these two back. But I would like to have open it up and have more people be involved because this is, as you said, this is going has to be a collective effort in order to make this happen, and it will be history May 13th. And the only way we're going to do it is if you get out and vote, vote, vote. And just to kick out, there will be a forum on Thursday the 17th, beginning at 6 o'clock at the Learning Service, Service Learning, 30th and whatever that I
Oh,
can't think of it's the old Coca-Cola building now. That's the only thing I can always say.
yeah,
Right on North
learning
30th Street.
communities building. Yeah.
3200 or
Hmm.
3001, I think it is, North 30th Street, Service Learning. Um, it will be a North Omaha Forum. John Ewing and Gene Stothert will be on at 6 o'clock promptly. And then the District 1 and District 2 City Council candidates, Pete Festerson, Mark Brennan, Ben Gray, and Lavanya Goodwin, they will be on afterwards, and then it'll open up for questions. So again, if you want to hear more, see more of the candidates running for mayor and city council, take and come out. They're going to have provide refreshments, but they said they will start promptly at 6 o'clock on Thursday, the 17th. With that, thanks, you guys. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you.